We are awaiting the start of the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District Board of Trustees meeting of November 10th, and they are having it November 10th instead of the 11th because of the holiday. And we're just waiting for them to come out of closed session.
Welcome back, everyone. We're returning from a closed session at 7:36 p.m. Mr. Falsgraf, can you lead us in the flag salute, please?
Right hand over Andre and allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Brandon, do you mind doing the civility statement?
The civility statement reads that we will communicate clearly and concisely with respect for the time of others, listen objectively, carefully considering the opinions of others, understand the counterproductive effects of disruptive, demeaning, and intimidating behaviors, understand and respect district policies and procedures, and maintain a respect for the rich history of the district and the efforts of others who have served in the past.
Thank you for that. Public, I just want to apologize if I run a little slow tonight. This is my first time doing the board meeting, so bear with me, please. Coming back from closed session, we don't have anything to report, correct?
That's correct.
Do we have any public comments?
Yes, Mr. Wadsworth, we have one public comment from Ms. Gilbert.
Hang on just a second. Sorry, ma'am. I think we need to move in the agenda. Opening of the meeting.
I thought we did that in the beginning. We do it again?
Yeah, that was the closed session agenda. So I'll make this easy. I make a motion that we move in the agenda for the open session on November 10th. I would have a comment that since there are only 3 of us tonight,
I've encouraged the superintendent, if there are any issues that seem to be contentious, a long-term contract or something that would typically involve a supermajority, like a hiring of a administrator, something like that, we table this until our colleagues come in. So at any point in the agenda, do any of the board members see anything on the agenda that they would be afraid to vote on tonight without a full board?
I do not.
I do not. So I'll make a motion that we move in the agenda as noted.
A second.
Ready to vote?
Yes, can we get the vote?
Falsgraf, aye.
Brianna Taxoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Perfect, Ms. Gilbert.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, ladies and gentlemen in the audience. I am here this evening to voice my extreme concern as a grandmother of 2 grandchildren in the school district here of the ongoing issues with the COVID-19 vaccine mandates, especially for children ages 5 through 11. I just want to make some points here. First and foremost, the mandates are not laws. Laws are enacted by the legislature after a hearing, and then they take a vote. What we have been seeing from both the federal government and the state of California is we have these mandates, these edicts that are coming from the higher ups, from press conferences, but nothing has been written into law. These are all executive orders that basically discombobulate the checks and balances that we have in our constitutional system between the legislature, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. Why are the majority of the school districts in the state of California blindly following these mandates? I don't know the answer to that, ladies and gentlemen, but some California school districts have rejected these mandates, specifically to communities up in Northern California, Oroville and Happy Valley, and in the Apple Valley here in Southern California, as well as Lucerne Valley. So school districts are pushing back. The second point I would like to make is that compelling the vaccinations in and of itself is illegal. I know this as a practicing attorney. I've studied the law. This is all illegal. It is a violation of California law in the Health and Safety Code, section 24171. It is a violation of federal law, specifically the 1st, the 4th, and the 14th Amendments of our Bill of Rights. And it is a violation of international law as codified in the Nuremberg Code of 1947 against experimental medical procedures without informed consent. My third point is that these vaccines, as we all know, are controversial and they are experimental and dangerous. The CDC has a website that shows reports of vaccine deaths and injuries. It is called VAERS, Vaccine Adverse Reporting System. It's a voluntary reporting system. This was started in 1990 for the CDC to keep track of what vaccines do. Are they harming people or are they benefiting people? As of October 2021, according to VAERS, there have been 856,917 COVID vaccine reported injuries, 18,078 deaths resulting directly from the COVID vaccines, and another 88,910 COVID vaccines hospitalizations, meaning someone took the vaccine and then they had to go to the emergency room. COVID vaccines have caused blood clots, heart attacks, severe autoimmune responses, strokes, Bell's palsy, myocarditis, and pericarditis. In teens, especially male teens, have been injured or died from blood clots and myocarditis directly as a result of these vaccines. My fourth point, statistics show the COVID vaccines are not necessary for children. Parents should have a choice and not be forced to vaccinate their kids in order for them to come to school. Statistically, children have a much greater chance of drowning, dying in a car accident, and dying from the flu than dying from COVID. The FDA, Dr. Eric Rubin of the FDA came out a couple of weeks ago and stated that they don't know the long-term effects of these vaccines on children, but to quote what he said, the only way to find out is to just do it.
Ms. Gilbert, I appreciate your time. We gave you 3 minutes and we ran over that a little bit. If we could please wrap it up, that would be great.
All right. Thank you very much.
I appreciate your time and thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Is there anybody else that had a public comment?
Not at this time.
All right, let's move along to item 6B, Golden Spotlight. Dr. Sahikian, you have it.
Thank you, Mr. Wadsworth. Our Golden Spotlight recipient this evening is so highly regarded in our community that I received testimonials from current and former staff at both Meadowlark and High Desert Middle. I'd like to share their comments with you all this evening. Mr. Barry Nolan has been volunteering at Meadowlark for many years, but he is more than just a volunteer. He is a member of the Meadowlark family. Mr. Nolan, or as he is referred to by many, Grandpa Barry, gives of his time and expertise to support staff and students. He spends multiple days a week at Meadowlark, and his smile brightens our hallways. He supports staff with technology. He has supported Meadowlark staff in the library, training teachers to use the library equipment, and assisting with keeping of the library neat and organized and ready for student use on a daily basis. I do have to thank Mr. Alex for these photos that you see this evening of Mr. Barry Nolan in action. He reads to the classes at Meadowlark. The students enjoy his creative readings and his kindness towards all. Grandpa Barry is kind, caring, intelligent, and loved by staff and students alike. Meadowlark Elementary is so fortunate to have such an amazing individual supporting the community. When seeking to spotlight the contributions of Grandpa Barry Nolan to the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District, we have to rely on the collective memories of many long-term employees and retired teachers, because Grandpa Barry has been volunteering his time and expertise since 1998, when his grandson was in Mrs. Marone's kindergarten class. He is one of the longest-standing figures in our district, and if he was an employee, he will be the third on our district seniority list. That is quite significant, Mr. Nolan. After Mrs. Marone's class, he continued volunteering in classrooms for all of his other grandchildren, all the while finding new ways to support the school. When the district could no longer fund a librarian, Mr. Nolan took on that role to ensure that kids had access to library books and the accelerated reader program. When we began to increase devices and student technology, Mr. Nolan was instrumental in supporting the rollout and maintenance of devices. When Agua Dulce School closed, he continued volunteering at Meadowlark and High Desert. If something wasn't working, he would fix it. Nothing is ever impossible when we have the assistance of Grandpa Barry Nolan. This stands to reason a long, long time ago in a galaxy not so far away, George Lucas turned to him and asked if he could possibly make a sword that would light up. And I didn't bring my water flask of Star Wars on purpose this evening. I have it with me every single day at work. I'm a Star Wars geek. When asked to recall Barry's contributions, retired teacher Miss Redmond said that he was fun, caring, and a grandfather added such richness to our class. I salute him for all the ways he enriched the lives of the children and teachers. I think we could all echo her sentiment. All our lives have been enriched by the contributions of Grandpa Barry. How does one encapsulate the contributions of Mr. Nolan to the students and the faculty of Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District? Grandpa Barry, who is now Great-Grandpa Barry, is a part of the fabric of our district, somebody who continues to leave an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of students, teachers, and staff. We are blessed to have such generous, talented, humble men gifting us with his time, energy, expertise. We are all better for having him in our lives. We would like to go ahead and commend and congratulate Mr. Nolan for all of his efforts this evening as our Golden Spotlight recipient. Can we give a round of applause?
I think the board has comments. Let's have the board comment. We will. Grandpa Barry, you began your career with both of my children, and we're talking about my kids now, in 2006 with Kendra. You have been an instrument of peace and stability on the school sites. Being around you calms children. Your countenance calms children. You make all kids feel smart. You make them all feel like they're on Star Wars. You give kids a reason to go to school. Tammy has been under your care for I don't know how long. You have impacted my children. Thank you, sir. Now we can take pictures.
that couldn't wait. I'm at my age, I'm like,
The first time I heard Grandpa Barry was when you received the Golden Apple Award years ago. You were honored years ago, and I think I was maybe just a teenager, maybe fresh out of high school. Since then, I have gotten to witness the incredibleness that is Grandpa Barry. You are a legend. You are amazing. You, like Ken said, you touched my own children. Getting to work with you was an honor. And I will second everything that Ken said, because you are so incredible. You are an incredible human being, and we are all lucky that you choose to spend your time with us and with our staff and with our kids. And you are absolutely deserving of the Golden Spotlight. So thank you for all you do.
Mr. Nolan, I will echo the sentiments of my team members up here, as well as say thank you for your service to the community, to the students of our schools, and taking the time out of your busy schedule to fill a need that we have at our district. I'll keep it brief at that, but thank you so much.
Yay, Grandpa! And then we should do one with the family also.
yes, Miss Hillary, right away, Miss Hillary.
Don't mess around with Hillary.
Miss Hillary, the balloons are still on the ceiling, Miss Hillary.
I gave you a wristlet.
The family floor should be cluttered with all this, right?
We're like trying to put the kids in a list. Wait a minute.
I'm going to turn this off for a moment.
All right, moving along to item 7A, ADA Representative Mrs. Alford. Welcome.
Good evening, Dr. Sahakian, our board members, district staff, colleagues, community members. I am Marilyn Alford Walsh, and I'm here on behalf of the Teachers Association. When I spoke last month on behalf of the Teachers Association, we had just started bargaining meetings with the district leadership staff. And since that time, we've met 4 times, and we are making positive strides in good faith to have respectful, fair, and open communication in our negotiations with district leadership. The association is working hard for its members, and we will continue to push for what is fair and equitable for all members as we continue to negotiate on their behalf. We look forward to continued dialogue next week with our district leadership, and collectively, we are positive that the continued communication will benefit all of our members. So we just want to say thank you so much for that time that we've had with our district leadership. We appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's been great. I heard nightmares about negotiations, and actually I'm enjoying going through the contract and being a part of that. So I'm learning a lot. Okay, so our educators continue to participate in the Tech Tuesday PE on Tuesdays. We call it Taco Tuesday. And that's been offered by our own staff who share their expertise with everyone across the district. We want to thank the district for that, continuing to do that because it is such a positive for all of our educators. And exceptionally, we want to thank Mrs. Chen, Mrs. Van Ornen, and Mrs. Lepp, who tend to be the leaders of that, behind the scenes putting the PD together. And this continues to provide educators refresher courses on some of the pedagogy that we went through last year, some of the ways to bring new materials and new ways of teaching to our students. And so it's something that is truly a benefit, and we definitely appreciate that. Something that also we appreciate is that time to collaborate, because we never have enough time as educators or provided the time because we're working with students from the time we get to school until we leave and much after. So that just is a scheduled time for educators to be able to share their expertise. So thank you for continuing that, and please continue to support that. Our high school staff are pleased to have Dr. Murphy on board as their new principal. So we're happy to have him here tonight. I haven't met him, but yay, Dr. Murphy. I don't have any kids coming through the school, but I have grandkids, so but we are really thrilled to be able to support Dr. Murphy, and the staff at Vasquez are anticipating positive and professional working relationships as they continue to educate, lead, and support the students at Vasquez. High Desert. We met as a staff under the leadership of Mrs. Van Ornen to discuss and support student needs across the campus. And we collectively decided that our students are really in need of some social and emotional education and learning in a way that they never have before. And so having the lack of counselors on our campus regularly, we now have a new counselor that has started coming, that's great. But to allow the students to have time to work through some of their social and emotional issues that they've been lacking because they haven't had that contact with other students for so long. So High Desert staff are working to provide lessons on positive and respectful communication skills, conflict resolution, empathy, goal setting, exploring diversity, and effective teamwork. Through mentorship and teacher guidance, students are provided opportunities to explore emotions, discuss concerns, and actually role play tough topics in a safe and respectful environment. We decided that this is more important than the content because if they're not able to communicate with one another, problem solve, and be able to resolve conflict, they're not going to be caring about science, math, or anything else. So part of the lessons allow students to self-reflect, discuss, and problem solve. This has been a benefit for students and staff as we support the students, not just academically, but meeting their social and emotional needs as well. I want to do a big shout out for last week. The CTE lab had its ribbon cutting ceremony, and many of our board members and community members were able to attend. I am personally connected to that because it is my privilege to be able to be the educator that gets to support the Learning Lab. And the students were able to share what they've learned so far, and hopefully the district can see that their money definitely it was worth spending for that lab. the students are overjoyed with what they've had so far. So thank you for that. It was great to be able to be there to share with you. Meadowlark staff is working hard to support their students and really appreciate time to collaborate with colleagues regularly to better support their students' diverse needs. Meadowlark teachers are amazingly talented and dedicated to providing quality lessons and support to their students. And they just need time to be able to collaborate and plan regularly, as we've all taken kind of a hit with that support. And so we want to see what we can do to help support those teachers. And my one area really of concern that I've observed on all campuses is being understaffed. Educators have taken on more to meet the needs of the students, but where I'm seeing the biggest hit is in our special education team. They need support. Ms. Council is servicing all sites, which is an unimaginable job. I can't imagine doing that. And our SPED team is understaffed. I am concerned that this may be opening us up to some sort of liability in the future if we do not support that team and provide some kind of staffing to each of the school sites, especially Meadowlark. So that's it. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you, Ms. Alford, for that. I appreciate it. Moving on to 7B, CSEA representative. I don't believe Caesar's with us tonight. We'll move on from that. 7C, student representative to the board. I don't believe Ms. Rudd is with us either. Amy Rudd.
That's correct, Mr. Wadsworth. She graciously emailed me and indicated that she had a prior commitment, and she sends her apologies for not being here this evening.
All right, thank you for that. 7D, Dr. Sakian, we'd like to add some of your gold standard.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Wadsworth. This evening, I will be focusing in on two strategic initiatives: effective instruction and leadership, and community engagement. To echo Ms. Alford's words earlier regarding PD, professional development on November 1st, it was our second professional development for the academic year for both certificated and classified staff. I'd like to thank our PD Council for their countless hours in preparation for such a productive day. Ms. Kim Shah, Nicole Chun, Michelle Van Ornum, Alexa Lepp, Chip Krolick, and Nicole Salcedo. I'd also like to thank, as you can see up on our screen, a couple of snapshots from the morning. I'd like to thank our keynote speaker, Mr. James Clipfeld, California Teacher of the Year for 2021. Some of the PD offerings included, but not limited to, trauma-informed care practices, for classified staff, de-escalation strategies, special education SAFE training, supporting students on quarantine, and social emotional learning, and the Nearpod offerings for SEL. Next, I'd like to go ahead and discuss a little field trip that Cabinet and I took at Palmdale School District on October 29th in the late afternoon to look at their makerspace labs. You see on the screen there a couple of snapshots from that late afternoon. The space looks different in different classrooms. Even within one classroom, materials might look different throughout the year, depending on the type of learning that's occurring at the time. Sometimes it might include things like cardboard, duct tape. Other times it might consist of laptops, microphones, green screens. A makerspace could take the form of a mobile cart that could be shared between classrooms, setting up stations that students could rotate between. It's a hands-on, project-based learning environment for schools and our students. Currently, we're looking as a team at possible funding sources for a makerspace lab, perhaps at Meadowlark Elementary. I'd like to publicly thank Palmdale School District Superintendent, Mr. Raul Maldonado, and his team for being so gracious with their time on October 29th. Thank you once again. On November 4th, at High Desert, We had the Paxton Patterson lab ribbon cutting ceremony and tour. You'll see some photos from that afternoon. It was quite exciting, particularly for our students at High Desert. They did a phenomenal job. The Paxton Patterson College and Career Ready lab ribbon cutting. The lab will provide college and career preparation for our students at High Desert. The lab engages students with problem-based real-world technology. It empowers our students to discover their interests, aptitudes, along the pathway to post-secondary success. The program will concentrate on STEM education, health science careers, architecture, and construction. On a side note, some of the students I believe that we have in the lab are entrepreneurs. There's a side story for that I'll share at another time. These work-based and problem-solving units will provide students an opportunity to hone in on their interests and their skills moving forward within the trajectory of their academic preparation. The High Desert students who were at each station that afternoon during the tour, I must say, were very articulate, engaging, and passionate about the activities they were demonstrating for the public. They did a phenomenal job. Thank you, students. Moving forward, parental involvement in decisions regarding the education of their children, our children, is critical to student success. The District English Learner Advisory Committee, or DLAC for short, is an advisory group that reviews and comments on key aspects of our district's English learner program, such as the reclassification and outreach efforts to parents of English learners. In addition, the purpose of DLAC is to advise the district's local governing board on programs and services for English learners. A robust DLAC committee met on November 2nd, last week, right here at the district office from 8:30 to 10 a.m. The topics that we covered at our first meeting included the roles of a DLAC president, vice president, and secretary. Updates to the district's English learner master plan will be provided once complete as a formal presentation to our governance team, our school board. The slide that you see here, the last initiative, community engagement, a little bit of a plug here. The first virtual coffee with the superintendent will be held on Monday, the 15th at 10 a.m. This community invitation will help support the facilitation of communication efforts, district initiatives, and questions from the community at large. Again, the kickoff date for this virtual coffee with superintendent, bring your own coffee because you'll be at home or your office. A little disclaimer. It will be at 10 a.m. to 10:45 this Monday, the 15th. The virtual meetings will be held bi-monthly, and the Zoom link could be found on the flyer. And that flyer was towards the last page of one of the most recent updates that were emailed to our family and our community members. We will have our very own new Vasquez High School principal, Dr. Murphy, as our guest that morning. And we'll be also discussing community engagement activities and ways to participate within our school district. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you for that, Dr. Sakian. Item 7E, COVID reports. Do you have anything to add on that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Wadsworth. I'd like to provide an update to the COVID report. Again, this is data that's being pulled from LA County Department of Public Health. 1,173 new cases were reported to LA County Department of Public Health for November 7th, as compared to 679 new cases for the week of October 25th. So there has been an uptick. Testing positivity rate, a 7-day average for the week of October 31st, comes in at 0.99%, as compared to the week of October 18th, which came in at 0.82%. Percentage of individuals tested with diagnostic COVID tests since the week of October 31st, for LA County Department of Public Health, comes in at 139,000, compared to the week of October 18th, which came in at 145,000. Once again, just a reminder to our wonderful families, the importance of self-check at home prior to students arriving on our campuses. Again, please look for symptoms such as cough, fever, perhaps shortness of breath. If you believe your child is experiencing any one of these symptoms, please contact your school site for additional guidance. Thank you. This concludes the COVID report.
Chad, may I?
Yes, sir, you may.
That's an agendized item. I would remind everyone that visits the campus. I'm not going to call anybody out, but our speaker tonight had a very important message. I like the way it was respectful. I like the way it was objective. I like the way it was scientific. I like the way it was not derogatory towards anyone. And I particularly like the way that the speaker protected the rest of the audience, just like the rest of our students are under mandate. So please, when you visit our campuses, whether it's a district office or whatever, do not expose our employees to danger by unmasking, please. Thank you.
All right, moving along to item 7F. Is there any submissions?
There are no submissions, Mr. Wadsworth.
All right, we'll move on into board comments. Mr. Falstrap.
Thank you. In the absence of the vice president and president, I typically would not make any public comments. I don't know if you picked up on this yet, but we are here to support and augment each other. And sometimes correction is necessary. Sometimes there are people who will say things that are grossly outside of what the other board members may think. I am the immediate past president. I sit here. As people advance, you will see the next person each year take the president's seat. And I am very proud that I'm kind of the one behind that, because the days of mono presidencies and superintendent relationships with one person to satisfy, that's not productive governance. So with that said, I'll touch on that a tad by saying I say some things sometimes that are kind of like birds dropping crumbs, so that a student in the audience could pick them up and go, that's what he's trying to tell me. So remember that. But I want to make sure that if I say something that some of the other board members, especially the leadership of the board, the president, the vice president, and the clerk, Mr. Wadsworth, may take offense to, they have the opportunity to make comments about that in the open public forum. So I'm going to break my own rules tonight. I'm going to say this. I have been involved in unions in the municipality I worked for in 20 years, for 21 years. Ms. Alfred, I enjoyed seeing a couple of things that you have personally brought off the ground and keep running off the ground year after year. Medal of Honor, the laboratory. I'm not big on what people are telling me. I'm big on what I'm seeing. I would have to say that your report tonight was probably the best union rep report I've ever heard in my life. You were talking about things that your teachers are doing, and you're here to represent your teachers. You're not here to tell me what I'm not doing, because when it comes to education, I am doing absolutely nothing other than sitting up here and crucifying the English language typically. So I very much appreciate your report tonight. I appreciate measure. I appreciate your mention of kids that need help and how you're giving them the help. Adding 2 + 2 is not important if you're not feeling good about yourself and you feel socially isolated. So I very much appreciate that work. I want to talk a little bit about the DLAC meeting. There are so many things in government. The government gives people money, and the idea is, if I give people money, the administrators are going to take all the money and run up their salaries. Remember that? That usually goes around here quite a bit. And so what we need to do is we need to put this group of people there, and we need to come in and have 3 or 4 checkbox meetings every year to say, yeah, we involved the public in our strategic plan, or yeah, we did this, or we did that, and it's all good, we check the box. Guys, when it comes to the Title I kids, that's where my heart goes. I would hate to sit in a school and try to catch every 4th word that the teacher was telling me and try to string that into something what I think it means while they're teaching you some advanced concept, and then be exposed to chronic underemployment for the rest of my life and chronic self-medication for the rest of my life. I am so happy to hear that there was a meaningful DLAC meeting. And I'm very glad that the teachers and the principals, site principals, are reporting. And when it comes to what I look at in principal performance, it is not what the gossip is on the street. It's what those scores look like. And me seeing practical examples that our Title I kids are being supported. I'm aware of special ed needs. Remember when I was the worst sped parent from hell in the entire district? I still am. I just got a suit on tonight. Okay. Ms. Gilbert, thank you for your comments. We cannot comment on your comment. You understand that, right? So, Ms. Gilbert, I need you to know that I'm talking to everyone in the world right now except you. Okay? I've said this before. I'm going to ramble it through again. Sometimes the people up at the top give us mandates. Does anyone know what IDEA is? Teachers know, principals know it, which gives you the IEPs you have to go through, right? What is the maximum amount of funding that program has ever received? 25%. Do you know what that means? That means that we're expecting that 75% of the people with an issue that have rights to education are not going to come forward. And then we have a couple check-the-box committees that we don't really take seriously, like our CAC, SELPA committee, until recently. We don't take that seriously. You can just go there and complain, and we'll pretend we're going to give you a little help while the thing is grossly underfunded to the tune of 75%. And then we go in and stuff our classrooms with 30 and 40 kids. 25% of them have IEPs because, geez, that's a great way to run up some funding on the side and expect one teacher to be accountable for all those IEPs. And then when a parent comes forward in an IEP meeting and says, that's not what my IEP says, sometimes administrators kick back and go, oh, and it's just a farce, okay? But that's what happens with federal mandates. And we're not talking about shots. Remember that. We're not talking about what Ms. Gilbert was talking about. Never. So the government says, do this. I want you to do this. I want you to use your staff to do it, and I want you to police yourself. And I want you to fund your policing. I want you to turn yourself in. And I want the superintendent to read it into the agenda. This has to happen on this date, and God fear if we don't do that. And then the person sitting in that chair has to read it. But guess what? What happens in a government meeting when you read the thing, it's on the agenda, the president reads it, and nobody moves it in? Do you know what happens? Do you know if somebody's silly enough to move it in and nobody seconds it, guess what happens? I guess the state would come down here and walk on here and tell me, we're not going to give you any money for your school because you just keep killing us on the vine, right? There's a couple ways to skin a cat, and I know several. That's it for me tonight. Gail, don't you go anywhere. It was wonderful to see you tonight. You have been an incredible impact on Tammy's life. She's still signing your name when she's not trying to get the balloons off the ceiling.
I want to start by saying that the highlight of my week last week was going to High Desert and attending the ribbon cutting for the Paxton Patterson lab. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely blew me away. From walking in, the very first time I ever walked in that room, it was Mr. Graham's history class, and I was in 8th grade. So to see the transformation to a 6th grade class and then to nothing, the last year that I was an employee at High Desert, where it was just an empty classroom, to walking into the incredibleness that is that lab. And I had my daughter with me, and she's in 10th grade, and she was like, Mom, I really want to come back to High Desert. She had Mrs. Elford for robotics and forensics, and seeing the forensics and the robotics and everything else, she's since decided that she wants to be a labor and delivery nurse, and that would be absolutely incredible for her. So I'm incredibly sad for my 5 older kids that missed the date on that, but how incredible for all of our students, our present and our upcoming, and any person that gets the chance to walk through there and see that, and how lucky those kids are. So huge kudos to every single person that put in kind of time and all of their effort into making that happen. And kudos to the High Desert staff, to Mrs. Van Ornum and to the High Desert staff for putting on a great event to showcase that and actually do that ribbon cutting, along with all of the other things that everybody's doing. When we're here hearing short-staffed and all of this extra work that our staff is putting in, and everybody's exhausted, and then to go the extra mile and put on such a beautiful ceremony. So awesome. It was really great to be there. It was really great to see all those kids. So congratulations and thank you. And I'm so excited to see what comes out of that lab. So great job. Dr. Sahakian, when you talk about a makerspace going in at Meadowlark, how lucky are those kids? So I would be incredibly excited to see more on that. The school that I'm currently at does have a makerspace. And the first time I was like, a makerspace, what's that? And I walked in and I was like, whoa. So to have something like that for our district, going back to the CTE lab, I took a bunch of pictures and I actually went to my school and I bragged about High Desert and I bragged about our district quite a bit and said, look at what they have. Look at what High Desert has. So that was really fun for me to be able to go brag out in the Antelope Valley for what we're doing here in Acton. So, Mrs. Gilbert, thank you for being here. I'm going to reiterate what Mr. Falsgraf said. We can't comment, but I appreciate your time and I appreciate the time that it took to come and put together such great information. So thank you. Mrs. Elford, it's awesome to hear that negotiations are going great. Sorry. And I want to thank you for reporting from staff across the district when you say, you know, at this and this site, and didn't report as a whole and let us know what everybody's doing at all the different schools. That was really great to hear. Understaffing is an issue across the state. It's an issue across the country. So I know thank you does not fix what the exhaustion that you're going to go through next week and the week after. But thank you. Tonight is what I have to offer while our incredible district office staff works to relieve that. So there are open positions and I know that they're doing their best to fix that. So thank you to all of the teachers and the staff for going above and beyond. Dr. Murphy, thank you for being here. I hope you had an amazing couple weeks. I hope you love our district and our Vasquez High School as much as we all do. So I hope you just had an amazing time. So thank you for being here. Dr. Sahakian, when I see your communications and stuff, I appreciate that you are embracing our small town way of life and embracing new ways to communicate with our community as a whole, and not just parent groups and not just our specific parents, but our community as a whole. Thank you for reaching out and understanding that our entire community is one big family, and developing those new ways of communication. I love it. And I know I respond to you all the time. Like, I love what you're doing. I love your communication pieces. So thank you for embracing our way of life. And I always throw a shout out or kudos. Tonight, I really want to recognize our counseling team. There are certain people that see our counseling team as a way for, as a help, as an aid for their kids going to college, or when we need to switch classes, or if we're going through social emotional. Our counselors are so much more than just one little job. They are absolutely incredible. So I just want to throw out to Mrs. Quesada and Mrs. Saucedo. I have kids that would not have graduated without Nicole Saucedo. She knows how she's touched my family from the time she was at Meadowlark up through Vasquez. I just want to throw a shout out. We see how hard you're working, and thank you so much to our counseling team. And there's so many things that they do behind the scenes. They are an incredible asset to our district, and we do have incredible counselors. So huge thank you to them. That's all.
Are you sure? Good evening. First, I want to acknowledge the fact that Ms. Jensen and Mr. Jorgensen are not here. Hopefully they're feeling better. Both of them are a little under the weather today. So I got the call at 11 o'clock today saying, hey, you're going to run the meeting. And there was a lot of silence on the phone. So I'm trying to do my best. The Paxton Patterson opening, unfortunately, I missed it. Work interfered and I wasn't able to get to it, but it looked like a great event. The pictures that I saw looked awesome. Coming from the Boy Scout organization, which feels like I've been there my entire life, the one thing that I've always admired about that organization is the merit badge process. And that process is to introduce youth into different careers, show them what could be, and let them figure out what interests them or what doesn't. So for Paxton Patterson, it's kind of the same thing. It lets kids experiment with what might work and what might not. Some of it might lead to going to college. Some of it might lead to going to trade school or just going out to the work field. All of that is excellent because I think exposure to kids is key to success for them. I'm going to keep my comments short. Ms. Alfred, it's great to hear your comments regarding your negotiations. It sounds to me like there's some optimism going on there, which is great in comparison to what we heard 2 months ago. So thank you for everybody putting the best foot forward and figuring out what a fair deal is for our small community in our little district. We all know that you guys are working super hard. We want to see you get a fair contract. So let's keep working towards that. Let's be positive about it. Let's come together and figure out how we can make that happen for everyone. Your report as far as each school, the breakdown, all of that was very informative, and I really appreciate it. Ms. Gilbert, I understand your concerns. I hear your concerns. Obviously, we can't discuss it, but I don't think there's anybody that has a big appetite for forcing vaccines on anybody. So let's see where the road goes and see where the road goes. Dr. Sakian, thank you for everything you're doing. It's amazing to see what good leadership can bring forward. I know you're still figuring stuff out, but what you've brought into us at this point, there's a lot of positivity out there, and we're starting to see the fruits of your labor. So thank you. Keep pushing forward and keep communicating and doing your programs. It's really a wonderful thing. With that, I will end it, and we'll start moving on along. And Ken, as we go into this, or anybody else up here, if you see me slightly messed up, feel free to jump in and correct me.
If we can skip reading titles, I think I can move this along first. Superintendent, can you go through each of the bullet point numbers and introduce them, and I'll begin moving the information in, and then maybe we can, President, that sounds pretty good, right? Better you than me. Then maybe you can ask the someone's comment. So let's begin with number 9. Superintendent, please. Okay, so we'll start with consent
calendar items, correct.
Yeah, so we'll start with the consent agenda. I will move, barring any board members want to pull any one or any one sub-item from the consent agenda. If there's no request to pull anything, I would move it in.
I'll second.
Chad, would you hear discussion on any of this?
We'd like to discuss discuss it, feel free. If there's no discussion, we can call for the
Call
vote.
the question. Paulsgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
That should bring us to
9B, special board meeting minutes for approval.
Yeah,
We just did all of it. We did 8A through 8B.
Yeah, we just did that, so let's move to number 10.
Sorry,
10A,
I got
10A, personal action report, PAR.
Thank you, everyone. Dawn?
Thank you, Grandpa.
Okay, 10A, personal action report.
I will move this in.
I'll second.
It is recommended the board approve personal action report PARs as presented.
Discussion.
I have nothing.
Paulsgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye. Item 10B, Sunshine. Acton Nagadolce School Employees Association, Chapter 473, Proposal 2021 through 24 negotiations for the collective bargaining agreement. We're opening the hearing at 8:32. Do we have any discussion? No discussion?
None.
We're going to close the hearing at 8:33 p.m.
Is this an action item, Superintendent? Or is this
C is not. D is.
Moving on to item 10D, the California School Employees Association and its Acton Nagadolce Chapter 473, Acton Nagadolce Unified School District successor proposal July 1st, 21 through June 30th, 24. It is recommended the board approve the California School Employees Association and its Acton Nagadolce Chapter 473 to Acton Nagadolce Unified School District successor proposal July 1, 21 to June 30th, 2024.
I will move that in.
I'll second.
Dr. Sakin, do you have anything to add?
Yes, I'd like to mention that the per CSEA proposal, the district opens a proposal for negotiations with CSEA. There are 3 articles as proposed by CSEA. I'd like to mention the 3 articles. Article 4, duty hours. Article 6, salary. And Article 7, employee benefits.
Any comments or questions?
Nothing here.
No comments.
Let's call for the vote.
Paulsgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye.
Did we miss C, or am I reading the agenda wrong?
We did see.
Right.
Moving on to item 10E, Acton Nagadolce Unified School District's initial proposal for changes to contract with California Employee Association Chapters 273.
I'll move this in.
Second.
Giving me that.
The district presented its proposal to open negotiations with CSEA for Section 10E.
So 10F, it's another hearing, declaration of public hearing for Acton Nagadolce Unified School District. Initial contract proposals for negotiations according to Government Code Section 3547. We're going to open the hearing at 8:35 p.m. Do we have anything to add, comments, concerns?
It's open for comments. at this time before we close the hearing time?
I don't have any comments.
No public comments, it's a public hearing.
All right, moving along, 8:36, we'll close the hearing, 8:36 p.m. Item 10G, Acton-Ogden Unified School District to the California School Employees Association and its Acton-Ogden Chapter number 473, successor proposal, July 1st, 2021, June 30th, 2024. Can I get a motion? Sorry, hold on 1 second. 1 second. It's recommended the board approve the Acton-Ogden Unified School District to the California School Employees Association and its Acton-Ogden Chapter 473, successor proposal, July 1, 2021, to June 30th, 2024. Can we please move it in?
I will move this in.
I will second.
Any comments?
Yes, Mr. Wadsworth. Initial proposal from the district, from Acton-Ogden Unified School District to CSEA, Chapter 473, at a minimum 2 articles, Article 6, salary, and Article 7, employee benefits. Thank you.
So comment on this from me is, for public edification, if you look on the agenda, you'll see that there's an anticipated fiscal impact, it says F, and that the fiscal impact is budget. Is that correct? Doctor? Yes. Perfect. Is this something we vote on?
Yes.
Photograph I.
Brianna Taxoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth. Aye. All right, moving on to 11A, business services. Acton-Ogden Unified School District Mint Proposal 111.
I'll move this in.
I will second it, Chad Wadsworth. It is recommended the board approve Acton-Ogden Unified School District Mint Proposal 111. Any comments, questions, or concerns?
No.
Superintendent, could you give us a 2 seconds the description of what we're doing?
Sure. At the last board meeting, we had a short presentation from School Mint representative regarding their proposal for a secret shopper analysis, an in-school person tour experience of each of our 3 sites. There's a checklist of 25 different metrics to evaluate the school tour process, the customer service being had by staff with a secret shopper, and an evaluation of the metrics for an improved customer service experience, not only for school sites, but for district office staff as well.
I have a question.
This is my microphone on, there we go. I have a question. Let's say I'm shopping districts because I'm not happy over there, and I visit, say, one of the school district websites. Does this program, this consultant have the ability to capture IP addresses by geographical region to say, there's a bunch of people in Anna Verde on Avenue S that are looking at High Desert School?
Mr. Falsgraf, I don't believe that they have that capacity.
I bet you they will once I approve their contract. I'm done.
Hey, Thomas Grant.
When I go through this, I can't help but think that a secret shopper is, I know that they're looking at these outside things, but I feel like this puts 7 people in our district under the microscope. In my opinion, I would love to see this kind of money go to professional development of those, for those 7 people, and training on how the standards of the district, what we'd like to see from them, and uploading them, or upfront giving them the information and the tools to succeed before we send somebody in there to see if they're doing it right, when we've never told them what is the right way. And in all honesty, our front office staff does not get the training that they should. So I would love to see money spent on professional development in etiquette, in our policies and procedures, what we're looking for from them, and give them those tools instead of just trying to catch them.
Go ahead.
Yes, professional development, absolutely, Ms. Taxani. It's a completely valid point. It's not necessarily just for front office staff at the school sites, but that's part of the equation. I agree with you. Front loading the expectations, training ahead of time is critical for anybody's success, regardless of classification. Evaluating a school tour experience, calls even to the district office, to administrator's office, including myself, and how I respond to a potential parent, a community member, secret shopper posing as a community member. Professional development based on the evaluation piece and the report to follow up with this proposal. We have in mind for a formal professional development that would encompass all classifications, certificated and classified, and not targeting one specific classification, be it, let's say, front office at school sites. As part of the overarching umbrella of marketing and branding of our district.
Another round of comments? We're good. Let's call for the vote.
Paul's Graff, abstain.
Brianna Taxoni, no.
Chad Wadsworth, no.
Point of order, that did not have the vote necessary to carry. I would suggest you table this and reintroduce it to the full board at a meeting in the future, and I would suggest that Ms. Taxoni's concerns are addressed. It didn't sound like this was ready for the oven yet. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Okay. Tabling it. Moving on to 11B. Resolution 2021-2206 authorizing use of remote teleconferencing provisions, AB 361. Can I get that moved in?
I will move it in.
Paul Graff moves it in.
Second.
It is recommended the board approve resolution 2021.22.06 authorizing use of remote teleconferencing provisions, AB 361. Any comments, concerns, questions?
Just for clarification, per Assembly Bill 361, we as a school district, we need to formally take action to continue with remote teleconferencing provisions based on the continuing state of emergency and social distancing recommendations put forward by the county. Thank you.
Can we get the vote?
Paul Graff, aye.
Brianna Taxoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye. Moving on to 11C, operational memorandum of understanding MOU between Assurance Learning Academy and Acton Dulce USD.
I will move this in.
Second.
It is recommended the board approve the operational memorandum of understanding MOU between Assurance Learning Academy and Acton Dulce Unified School District. Do we have any comments?
Yes, it's my understanding that these were some of we're finding the tail end of the group of charters that we wanted to update their MOUs and capture some certain things. There's nothing that involves a hearing to change anything about the way the charter is operating.
No.
There's nothing in here that will find me looking at defendants who you stand where you're standing in the courtroom in San Diego County in this district, paying back $800,000 in a wonderful charter program. Is there? Oh, thank you. How pleasant.
No comments.
No comments for myself. Let's call for the vote.
Fallsgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye. Moving on to items 11D. Operational Memorandum of Understanding MOU between Mission Academy and Acton Agua Dulce USD. Can I get a motion to move it in?
I'll move this in.
I'll second.
It is recommended the board approve the Operational Memorandum of Understanding MOU between Mission Academy and Acton Agua Dulce USD. Do we have any comments?
It's almost Groundhog Day. It's my understanding, in fact, somewhere in the corporate paperwork that Assurance Learning Academy and Mission Academy are kind of the same people. But that's not what's at there's some breadcrumbs I was talking about, right, guys? But that's not what's at stake here this evening. So, is there anything in here that is going to change the operation of the charter as we know it?
No.
Is there anything in here that's going to find me in the courtroom in San Diego County looking at defendants who you stand right where you're standing and cost the district $800,000 in a wonderful charter program?
No.
Thank you. Wonderful. I missed all that by a second or two, but you get it right. Okay.
No comments.
No comments for myself. Can we call for the vote?
Fallsgraf, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye. Moving on to 12, the calendar, 12A. Special regular board meeting is December 9th. Dr. Sagan, do you have anything to add to this?
We do have one item, Mr. Wadsworth, that we will perhaps put as a special board meeting agenda item, one agenda item, to receive information on the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant, just given the timeline and constraints for the month of December. We are planning to have that as a separate agenda item, special meeting on December 9th, prior to the regular board meeting scheduled for December 9th.
Okay. There's no vote for that, right?
No, but I have a comment. What's happening here is there's an educator, what is it, an educator block grant? Somehow I think that involves educators.
Yeah.
So what's happening here is you have to have two meetings, and a holiday has inconvenienced us. So we're not trying to sneak something in ahead of time. Will this board meeting be noticed as our other board meetings are? We're not going to post surprise meeting.
It will be posted within the 72-hour window or more.
Good. So maybe we can modify the calendar to show that meeting that you were asked to put that on this evening. Next, since it does involve educators, I'm hoping that our educators are somehow knowing about this and knowing what it can offer, because I was hearing some overlap on some of the things the union rep was saying and some of the things my understanding is. So let's make sure that when I ask the question, do the teachers know about this, that we're all good to go. Because I don't like throwing money away, but I don't like wasting it either. Okay? Other than that, I have nothing.
Yeah.
I don't have anything.
All right, moving along to future agenda items. Do we have any future agenda items?
And I have a comment on the one we have. I'm the culprit to put this on here. If we remember right, there was some blanket dragging going on when the charter revenue started folding up a few years ago, and we were starting to have to rat hole money instead of completing phase 3. Somebody was saying that that there was Prop A money that was going to put a wonderful swimming pool in. That turned out to be false. If you read the Acton Agua Dulce News, I don't believe I've said that before. this week they had an article about that pool money that they were talking about. Actually, they revealed in that paper that was nothing, never was anything. So my ask on this is to be very clear. I want to start where the charter revenue was. I want to know where it went, how it went out first. I'll talk about what staff took it when they left. I'll talk about whatever might have happened at the meeting I was at one time or another. And then we're going to track what the out years look like in terms of where the money is, no charter revenue coming in, ADA dropping. I like in the know, because I know what my district's about. Thank you. People might want to know, because they might actually want to send their kids here. But there are people asking for things, and there's numbers and prices being brought out that all go back to things I heard about 3 and 4 years ago that turned out not to be real. So when you bring your numbers, bring your calculator, this will probably be the worst I've ever been.
So for future agenda items, just to piggyback on Mr. Fosgraff's comments, for the December board meeting, Dr. Mirza, correct me if I'm wrong, but mid-year projections will be part of the agenda presentation. And along with the mid-year projections, there'll be items such as the charter revenue that you requested for. So that will be.
Can we roll this into that presentation with a focus on one section?
At the end of the first presentation, I'll add it on.
Perfect. That will suffice. Thank you.
Anything from Brad?
I don't have anything, thank you.
All right, item 14A, my favorite topic of the night, adjournment. And I survived, so we're good.
A motion.
Can I get it moved in?
I will move that in with the caveat that you will call, serving as Mr. President, you will call both Tim and Kelly and remind them that without their presence, we had a very effective and quick board meeting. Thank you.
I will do that, sir. So Ken moved it, Brianna seconded. You're not quick enough, Brianna. Can I call for the vote?
Aye.
Brianna Taxoni, aye.
Chad Wadsworth, aye. We're going to adjourn this meeting at 8:53 p.m. Thank you all for attending. Ms. Hillary, it was great to see you.
This reminds me